Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? Ground is dry, so yep. This morning there was like a 90% chance of it raining for 5, 6, 7 hours straight today. I took a look at the Weather Channel this morning when I woke up, and it said I guess the wind was blowing or something because the storm went somewhere else. I did get this field fertilized yesterday. I did get that fertilizer on this field. I put that triple 17. The wind is blowing, so I got the camera right up in my face to see if it'll pick up my voice better. But I did get that triple 17 on this field yesterday. That triple 17 with a little bit of sulfur in it. I did put it on this field yesterday, anticipating for it to rain pretty severely. That rain went somewhere else. So that is well, every once in a while something like this will happen. It's completely fine. It ain't gonna make or break me. The fertilizer is gonna sit on this field. Then when these spring showers start, that fertilizer will sink into this soil. Zero problemas. You know what I'm saying? And so it's perfectly fine. Big thing right now is that I got this front field that I plowed up, that I turned over. I'm looking to rely on this rain to break this soil back up for me. Well, I'll take y'all up to the front field here in a minute and show y'all what I'm talking about. When the soil dries up, these little places that these cattle stepped on turn into these little mounds, and sometimes they get real hard. And if I kick them like that, sometimes they'll be real stuck to the ground. But when I kick them, I'll trip on them. So I gotta be careful when I'm walking around the soil over here. But yep, these well, okay, so there was a man here locally, like this right here, big old thing. Sometimes it'll be stuck to the ground, especially here. But there was a man here locally about an hour away who I believe he's an older gentleman who his wife had some serious health problems, and he's old, and so he was looking to get rid of his cattle, and he had some real good cattle. Some purebred British whites, and he was selling his calves for $250 a head. I got in contact with him yesterday. I was well, I thought it was gonna rain today. Well, there was I had a lot going on for me yesterday. I had to get that fertilizer on this field. I had to get the rest of this plowing done. Any spot that I missed on plowing, I had to get it replowed. So I had a lot on my plate yesterday. I couldn't just get up and leave. So I'm gonna contact him here in a little bit to see if he still has those cattle, because yep, those cattle they're going to get sold very quickly. So someone may have already bought them, but I was gonna go over there to buy them. He was selling them for probably 50-60 cents a pound. He had to get rid of his animals. And so yep, I'm gonna see if he still got them, and if he does, I'm gonna go over there and pick them up, because that's a phenomenal deal. I can make money on that. British white are good cattle. People pay good money for them, and they got good meat on them too. And so I'm gonna contact that man here in maybe an hour or so. It's just still a little too early to be calling people about cattle. So I'm gonna wait until about 9 o'clock, see if he still got them. If he does, I'm gonna have to run over there to go get them. And yep, so I did get fertilizer on this field yesterday. Got fertilizer on this field. Rain completely missed us. It's all right though. That fertilizer will just sit on this soil. I'll take y'all up front right now to show y'all what's going on with the front field. Oh man, yesterday while I was getting my fertilizer hopper ready, I forgot to put a coulter pin. I forgot to put a pin in one of the arms of the fertilizer bin. And so as soon as I started moving, and then I hit a bump. As soon as I hit a bump, the fertilizer hopper came loose from the tractor. Then it dumped a whole bunch of fertilizer right here. Thing completely fell over. My fertilizer hopper completely fell over. And so that's all the fertilizer. That's why there's so much fertilizer right here, is because that thing fell over. I had to go get the jack out of my car to pick the thing up because it still had about 250 pounds of fertilizer in it. And the hopper itself weighs like 200 pounds. So I could barely I could barely pick the thing up like an inch. So I picked it up like an inch, and then I put the jack underneath it and then picked it up. So and then I had to sit there and hammer the bolt back so that it was flat again, so that it was straight again, because when the fertilizer hopper fell off the tractor, it completely bent the bolt that was still in place. It completely bent it because the thing fell over and it's extremely heavy. And so so long story short, it was another long day for me yesterday. I was working until like 9:30. But okay, so here's the soil right now, right? Here's everything right now going on right now with this field. I got this is about a third of it right here. It's about 3 acres in total. So when I look at the soil, what I'm looking to do is have soil like this right here. This is what I consider good soil. If I have soil like this right here, except for that rock right there, if I have soil like this right here, as soon as it gets some rain on it, as soon as it gets some good rain on it, the soil will flatten back out. The soil will actually like flatten again, like it'll just look like normal soil. And so the things that I need to like this right here, this big old piece of soil right here, you see this? I have to break these apart. These are called the big old clods. I have to break these apart, or this soil will have a difficult time setting again. It'll take a lot of rain, a lot of rain to get this soil to settle back. And so my big plan right now was to I'm still early for Sudan grass, and so I was gonna let the rain, if I got a lot of rain on this field, it would eventually push this all back into the ground. All this would eventually break apart again and go back into the ground. You see how it's already breaking apart? But it'll break apart like this when the rain gets on it. And when the rain gets on it, it'll go back into the ground and it'll flatten itself back out. But you see what I'm saying? I got a lot of these big old clods everywhere. So I need this ground to be flat, because like, okay, just imagine what would happen if I put a seed right here. It ain't gonna live. That seed is screwed, you know what I'm saying? There's zero chance for that seed to do anything. So that's why I need this ground to be flat. And if it's like this, if the soil is like this right here, let's see if I can get a handful of it. If the soil is like this right here, where it's like these little pieces, when it rains, when it gets a good bit of rain on it, the ground will smooth out. And so my big thing was, well, my disc plow, it doesn't have any mud scrapers on it. And so when I run the disc plow through this field, when the soil is wet, the mud accumulates on the discs, and then the discs stop cutting. And so I have to wait for this ground to dry. And so I was like, you know what, I'm still early. I'm just gonna see if the rain will do a majority of this for me, so I don't have to come through here and just really cut this soil up. But this morning, the rain that was supposed to be here completely missed us. It completely missed us. There was a 90% chance, and it completely missed us. But that's completely fine. I just have to be aware of that. And you see how this soil's already starting to dry out? It's starting to dry out so quickly because there's so much air in the soil. When I plow this soil up, it puts a bunch of air in the soil, and that'll dry the soil out very quickly. And so this soil is drying out substantially faster than if it was just a field, just a regular old field. And so this soil is drying out. And if it gets to a point where this soil is dry enough that I can run a disc through it without accumulating a bunch of mud on the discs, I'm just gonna cut this soil up myself. Instead of waiting for that rain, instead of waiting for rain to break the soil apart and push it back into the ground for me, I'm just gonna come through here with a disc plow and chop this soil up real good. And so if I chop the soil up real good, once I get done running the disc through it, the soil, all of it will look like this. All of it will look like this, where it's just a bunch of little pieces. And as soon as it gets some rain on it, it'll it'll flatten the field back out. And so I need the soil to look like this. As soon as the soil looks like this, and then I get some rain on it, the field will be flat. And then I could run a cultipacker over it. And once I get that cultipacker ran over it, I can drill it with seed. Good thing is that I still got time. It's still too early to plant Sudan grass, but within about 2-3 weeks, it's looking like 2-3 weeks, I'll be planting Sudan grass. And so all this needs to be ready in about 2-3 weeks. So you see all these big old clods. Can't drill seed in this. Can't drill seed in that at all. So I gotta break all this up with a disc. I know a lot of people they plow with a disc, and I don't recommend that. If it's light plowing, that's fine. But if it's like a field of sod, you're better off just buying a moldboard plow and just turning the soil over. Because you know, a moldboard plow, it costs but $300, $350. I bought mine for 350 bucks, and I paid $150 for it to get it shipped here, to get it delivered here. And then I paid $5 for a handful of bolts, real hard bolts, and got the thing fixed up. It's better to just pay the $500, I think, for a plow than it is to just run over a field constantly with a disc. Because like if I were gonna disc a field like this, if I had a field of sod, of wet clay, and it was and I had to disc it to make it look like this, it would take me multiple, like I would have to drive by it constantly, just run over it just repeatedly, just over again. And so it's just, I think it's just a better investment of time, and you know, and it'll cost a real good old moldboard plow, costs just a few $100s. And so in my opinion, I believe that it's way better to just moldboard plow the field than it is to just run a disc over a field of sod constantly. I'm still walking through this field, but you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of big clods everywhere. A lot of big clods everywhere. And so I'm gonna have to disc those to break them down. If it's not gonna rain and the soil dries out, I'm gonna have to disc them. If it does rain heavily for a couple days, for a week or so, then this field will settle on its own. But if it doesn't, I'll have to do something about it. I'll have to run a disc to break these clods up myself. But I'm gonna have to get myself a disc too. A disc plow does have its uses. A disc plow, one great thing about a disc plow is that I can run a disc plow over a field and just kind of break the top 3 inches of the soil up. So that's one tremendously good thing about a disc plow. A moldboard plow, I mean, when you dump that plow into the ground, I mean, you're going to be driving the soil up. I mean, you're going to be going 6-10 inches into the soil and just ripping that soil up out of the ground. But a disc plow, it's got cutter discs on it, and so those discs, you can run it so that it just busts up that top 3 inches of soil. So that's one phenomenal thing about a disc plow. That is that I would rather have a disc plow for than a moldboard. But if I was gonna turn a field of sod into a field of crop, I would moldboard plow it. It's just with a moldboard plow, you just go over the thing one time, and it just, I mean, it literally just rips the soil out of the ground. The big thing I realized about my tractor is that because my tractor is okay, so because the horsepower on my tractor is so high, and it only has one set of wheels on it, and those one set of wheels are pretty old, so they're losing their traction. Is that when I run an implement on my so if I was gonna run an implement that was proper, or that was correct for a 150 horsepower tractor, I would need to either one, get a new set of wheels on it, or two, stick a dually tire on it. I would need to stick the two tires on the rear end to make it have enough traction to pull that implement, if it was a 150 horsepower implement. But But so if I'm gonna run a lower power implement, like if I'm gonna run a 3-bottom plow on it, I need to keep the thing at about second gear and at less than 50% throttle, or that plow will, or the tractor will literally rip the the pins off of the plow, because it's pulling the plow so hard. And the plow isn't designed, because okay, so imagine I have 3 bottoms on a plow, 3 of the things that dig into the ground like that when I drive. Imagine I have 5 of them. There would be more pressure being applied to the plow, because there would be more heads on the plow, and so it would put less pressure on the it would put more pressure on the tractor but less pressure on the plow. But if I have a 3-bottom plow and I'm driving it with a 150 horsepower tractor, that 150 horsepower is going straight into those 3 plows. But if I had a 5, it would drive into those 5 plows. So it would reduce the amount of force being applied to the plow. But my tractor right now, because it's 150 horsepower and I'm pulling those 3 plows with it, if I dump the plow too hard, or if I drive the plow too hard with like if I go into 3rd gear and put it at 50%, it'll rip the pins off the plow. I mean, it'll bend the top link, it'll rip the pins, and the tractor will just keep on going like there's no problem. And so the horsepower on the tractor, I need to keep the thing in 2nd gear, and I need to keep the throttle at 50%, and I need to be real easy on that plow if it's a 3-bottom plow, or it'll just it'll literally bend the top link. It'll bend the top link and it'll rip the pins off of the sides, and the plow will just start flailing everywhere, because I mean the tractor is way too much horsepower for that plow. So that's one thing I realized. And another thing that I realized while I was driving that tractor yesterday is that I think my hydraulic pump may be kind of, it ain't on its last leg or anything, but I am starting to realize that when I turn the steering wheel real hard when I'm driving, sometimes my engine will lose a little bit of power. And so I'm thinking that my hydraulic pump, I don't think it's even close to being on its last leg or anything, but I am realizing that the hydraulic pump may be just a little bit, well, I'm just going to use the word old. It may just be a little old. I don't think the hydraulic pump is going to die on me or anything like that anytime soon. But when I turn the steering wheel real hard when I'm driving around on these fields, I am losing a little bit of power in the engine. And well, I mean, I guess just in terms of good information, when driving a tractor, like if I have an implement behind the tractor and I have a tractor, right? Let's say I got a 4-bottom plow or a 5-bottom plow on that tractor. Let's say when I'm driving that tractor, if I dump the implement into the ground and the tractor starts losing its engine, it starts losing its power, that's a major sign that the implement is too much of a load for the tractor. And so either you got to turn the throttle up, or you got to get a smaller implement. And if you're running your tractor on full blast just to run your implement properly, your tractor ain't gonna last very long. And so you really want well, I mean, this is just general advice, okay? Like you know, that you know, the whole it just is what it is kind of thing, right? It just is what it is. If you got a tractor and you're pulling an implement through the ground and your tractor starts losing its engine, starts losing its power, it's almost like it's stalling out. The implement is too strong for the tractor. The implement is putting too much of a load on the tractor. And so the way to solve that is to either turn your throttle up or to get a smaller implement. And so if your wheels are spinning and the ground is slick, that's a different thing. But in terms of just the engine health and in terms of just the longevity of a tractor, keeping a tractor running for a long time, or like if you're gonna go look at an old tractor, to make sure it's going okay. The engine shouldn't be doing anything wonky. Like when you try and turn the throttle up, or when you put a load on the tractor. If the tractor is designed to handle that load and it's not handling the load properly, something's going on with that tractor engine. But yep, I do realize that when I have it in second gear, if I dump that plow real hard and I go in 25% throttle, I start losing the engine. My engine starts almost like it's on the verge of not on the verge of stalling out, but I can feel it losing its power. So when I have to turn it up to 50% throttle. But 50% throttle on second gear, that ain't nothing for a tractor, okay? That's the comfort zone for the tractor. And so I can run the tractor at second gear, 50% throttle, and it'll pull that plow through the ground just fine. One day, well, my big plan was to turn this tractor in for a credit, a grant, and then buy a new tractor. So I think my hydraulic pump will last until then. But everything's plowed up. The rain that was supposed to happen this morning completely missed us. If this ground dries, well, I mean, if I get like 4 or 5 days of zero rain and this ground dries up pretty substantially, I'm just gonna cut this soil up myself instead of waiting for the rain to do it. I'll just cut this up myself with a disc plow, and then when the rain does come and the soil is in a bunch of small little pieces, the soil will flatten itself out. And then once the soil flattens itself out, all I gotta do is cultipack it, or excuse me, if I'm gonna disc it, I'm gonna put fertilizer on it first, then disc it in, and then once the rain flattens it out, I'm gonna cultipack it, and then I'll drill my seed. And all that's gonna happen in about 3 weeks. Within what is it today? Oh, maybe within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, that'll all be happening. And if I get a real good weather, depending on what's happening with the weather, I would like to get about 5,000 pounds of dry Sudan grass per acre. So if I get some good rain, if I get a lot of rain, I'll put more fertilizer on the field, because fertilizer, okay, so fertilizer, I know that there's a lot going on right now, but there is a lot going on right now, and I got to get everything ready. But fertilizer, the concentration of a fertilizer will dilute the more water that there is in the soil. So if I have a lot of water in the soil, the concentration of fertilizer will drop. And so if there's a lot of rain, I can put a lot of fertilizer in the soil. If the soil is real dry, the concentration of the fertilizer will go up. And so I can actually increase the overall metabolic activity of a plant. I can make the plant grow faster if I put more fertilizer on it when there's a lot of rain. But if I put more fertilizer on it in a drought, that could be a big problem. That could bleach the soil. That could kill the plants. That could do a lot of problems. Create a lot of problems for the soil. Create a lot of problems for the plants. And so I like to get my goal right now is 5 1,000-pound rolls per acre. And so this front field, in about 2 months, I'm looking to grow about a dozen rolls of hay on this front field. And then after that, yep, if I can do that, I would consider it a job well done. If I can go 12 rolls of hay on this field, yeah, that's what I'm going for. Yeah, I may not even bale the hay here. I may just cut it and then take it back to the cattle myself with the front loader, and just drop it off for them so that they can eat the grass fresh. Because if I was gonna run a baler through here and a hay cutter through here on a big tractor, it'd be kind of an ordeal. And so I may just get something like a small sickle bar mower for my small tractor. It costs about $1,000, and then just mow this sickle bar, mow it, and then take the grass to the back myself with the front loader, so I can feed it to the cattle fresh instead of baling it up. But yeah, Gotta do something about this right here. Gotta do something about this. It's still just a little bit too wet for me to run the disc through here. If my disc had hydraulics on it as well as some mud scrapers on it, I could disc this up right now, but this is still just, it's still just a little bit too wet. But yep, everything's going good, you know. Everything's going okay. Everything's going good. The rain missing us this morning, it just is what it is, right? It ain't unfortunate or anything like that. It just is what it is. I'll just have to step in and do something about it. I'll have to disc it. I'll have to break these clods up myself. Yep. Y'all want to see some big old clods? Look at this. There's some big clods right here. I got to break this up so that it sinks back into the ground. But all right, that's it from me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.